SK.
Hello.
You're gonna get it. One of these days, you're gonna get it. It's gonna be quick, and you're just gonna blow my mind, and I'm not even gonna be able to say anything because you're gonna be so quick.
I don't know what you're talking about because I am completely on time on my end. So.
I think the way to resolve this, I think next episode, you're gonna start us off, and I'm gonna come in there with the hay, and I'm gonna show you what I mean.
No.
I think so. Alright, so what are we talking about today? We are going to talk about clan games. Clan games are on right now. Our wars. We're searching for a war right now. We just finished war. We're going to talk about that. We've got a Can't Fix Stupid that we're going to talk about. You've got a couple things that you're going to, you had mentioned, just kind of things that Supercell updates, but doesn't really make it an obvious update inside the game. So you're going to let me know, you're going to let all of us know about that, and we're going to talk about that. And what else? I think that's about it, because we don't have any events going on right now. There's 7 days left in the season pass, 3 days left in clan games, and then Clan War League starts in 7 days.
Yeah, we could talk a little bit about your new tangled attack.
the attack that you and I have been working on for the last 2-3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to get it all perfected with the kinks and whatnot. So yeah, we'll talk about that as well.
Good. So what would you like to talk about first?
Well, let's talk about the clan games.
What do you think of the rewards?
Well, I don't need any of them, so for me, it's just kind of, I don't know. They're all right, I guess. I can understand why certain things aren't in this one.
The Book of Heroes. The one book I need.
A Dark Rune. I can understand why those aren't in this clan games, because Youth Town Hall 13's just got the extra levels and whatnot, and they don't want to give you.
I think also because they've been available quite a lot recently. What with season passes, I think it was in the last clan games. So I think they're just not.
A book of everything in a long time. We haven't had a book of everything in a long time.
I think we've only ever had a book of everything, 2 times? Maybe 3?
That's very often.
But, I'm like, well, I don't need, do I? I must have one. It's just, I'm a hoarder and I don't use it.
I don't think I have one anymore.
I think I have one, let me check.
That's the only one I don't have.
Maybe I don't have one, and then they've just never replenished it, because I think I must have used it for Town Hall 13, I think, maybe, when it came out. Let me just check. Yeah, I don't have one. I do, however, have a book of spells, and that's one of the things, isn't it? One of the rewards. Or Builder Gold Rune, or a shovel. So which one of those would I take to get the most gems?
They're all 50.
Even the shovel?
I believe so. I wouldn't know to look, to check, because I use my shovel. But I think a shovel's 50.
I know, but I might have... I use my shovels too. I just might, not use them until I have to, Yeah, shovel's 50. They're all 50s. Fine. Yeah, I mean, for me, my opinion of the rewards, I'm probably gonna get the research potion, training potion, I'm swivering between the gems or the hero potion, the builder potion, any one of the other three, because they're all 50 gems, you said, and then 100 gems. No, the Book of Fighting. I do actually need the Book of Fighting, because then I can do my very last research.
Extra one? What do you pick for your extra one?
Oh, then my 100 gems. I don't need to build the elixir rune because I have one. So. And I've just put in my archers, and that's the only elixir-based research item left. So, what are you gonna pick?
Well, I'm just trying to look and see what I need here. I am going to take the research potion in the first one. I am going to take the training potion in the second. I am going to take the clock tower potion in the third, just because I've been using them just randomly, and I need one to fill it up, so I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take the builder potion in the next one, because I still need 2 to fill up by 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm obviously going to take the shovel. That's just duh. And then either I have a Book of Fighting and I have an elixir rune, so it'll be one of those, and then the 100 gems for the extra.
I have no idea. So just because I'm on the game now, I have no idea what this person's on about. Is he related to the other guy or what?
I don't know.
I don't know why he must be I mean, do we have a Garfield? I don't think we do. So he must be related to the other guy, and he's still on crack because he's still talking whatever, like, nonsense.
Probably. I'll just leave that in
there. I mean, what the hell is that about, really?
So yeah, that is Clan Games. We are, 2.5 days into Clan Games. We've already maxed them out.
You and I have maxed, which is quite good, and quite good that we don't have to cycle anymore.
Yeah, no, I did find, I was using a couple gems to rotate because I was looking for the stupid 35. But
why would you do that? Why would you gem?
Because I did find that there was a lot more thousands that popped up this Clan Games than previous ones, and the 35s are like very scarce.
Uh-huh.
But there was a lot more thousands.
Okay.
Like I've seen about 6 or 7 for sure, just in the last couple days. At least 6 or 7. Probably even more, because I know one person, I know 3 people for sure that took them.
Are you trying to justify the fact that you took one, knowing the fact that I needed one to finish my games?
You were gonna help, so, but I know that I took a couple. So yeah.
Okay, good. I pretty much nearly finished the games. I would have finished the games in a day, like maxed out. So I'll never really understand people that think. I can understand it can be a grind, but I don't understand how people are complaining. I mean, because our clan has a minimum amount that you have to get. So I don't understand why they're complaining about that when, you know, there are other harder ways to complete the games, you know. And yeah, it's just sometimes.
I think people just aren't smart when it comes to the challenges.
Is this a bit like when they're upgrading heroes and they're not smart about it, or when they're upgrading their town hall and they're not smart about it? You know, I'll just book my town hall. I wouldn't be, you know, more effective to wait until that town hall finishes and then book the lab so that I can benefit from the recent power boosts
people they're stupid. They don't think.
And then the lab takes as long as the power boost lasts, and then it finally finishes, and oh look, you don't have a power boost anymore.
I mean, if they would ask, but no, they're in such a hurry to get to the next town hall.
Yeah. Or they just don't tell you, and one day you wake up and you're looking at the wall and you're like, why is this person this town hall level?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
That was this past board. We had he came into the fun as a Town Hall 7. We were expecting, like, he had mentioned that he wanted to go to Town Hall 8. I said, well, you still have things to finish, like in your lab. It's just like, why do you want to start the next Town Hall behind? It's like, oh, I'll catch him up and I'll get him done. He ended up waiting a day. And then just finished war, put him in the war because everybody wars. And where is he? He's the bottom Town Hall 8 because he gemmed his Town Hall. Or he booked his Town Hall. Or for whatever reason, he did whatever. And then, I mean, we can get into our wars now. But I mean, he didn't let anybody know. And I mean, that affects us in war. Especially when, we're weight conscious. Because, like, not weight conscious, but I mean, we try and make sure that we're not too heavily weighted at the top because, like, we want to have an even mix throughout. So, I mean, him putting himself as an 8, is it a huge deal? No. But, I mean, it still adds more weight.
It does. I mean, for my perspective is, yes, it does add more weight. But for me, it's the lack of communication. And it's also the fact that it adds weight, but it also skews our, because we try and have an even spread, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, we like to have, like, 3 Town Hall 7s, like, just even in each of the Town Hall.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's more or not. I think it's more being conscious that we know that, we do have quite a wide town hall spread, which means it's quite difficult to find decent matches without, running into engineers or roster engineering or what have you. So we're conscious of that because we do like to play the game and we do like to play with different town halls. We're not, we're not all town hall 13s and town hall 12s. We do like to have that sort of spread of town halls to have, I mean, personally that's what the clan is that way until, we reach 50, but I might have, reached 50 myself then at that point, if we ever get that point, so we're conscious that, sometimes our wars do take a while to find in the first place, and now you're skewing our whole kind of, okay, we seem to find better matches or consistent matches with this spread, But also, I think you kind of despair because, okay, yes, you've upgraded your defences, but and your lab is near enough done, but are you yourself ready? And he was not, because he was, and I don't mean that he was a poor attacker or what have you. I meant he did not really understand how the game works, like the basics. As in, he was posting up replays going, I restarted Town Hall 8, and it was not a Town Hall 8, it was the Town Hall 7 that, much like him, had just upgraded to his Town Hall 8. So, okay, yes, maybe the Town Hall has some extra hit points, but other than that, it was purely a Town Hall 7 in the Town Hall 8 body.
Well,
but he couldn't tell the difference, And so it's just things like that in the game that you kind of need to understand, I think. Or at least don't say that you have restarted Town Hall 8 as though, you're the bee's knees. When it's not. Because you're making us have to tell you something you don't want to hear. Because here he is showing this replay and he's obviously very proud of the fact that he's just restarted Town Hall 8. And you're having to break the news that it's not actually a Town Hall 8, and that's not going to have a nice effect on him, is it? But, you can't let him think that actually you know, you're the bomb now, you can hit 10 all 8s and freestyle them. You know, that's not going to be a good outcome for war. So, but
that's probably why he went to Town Hall 8, because he's probably showed
yeah,
all these replays, and it's like, oh, I can 3-star them. I can 3-star
you
them.
know, I don't doubt that for a minute, and I think that's what he was trying to do, was show these replays to say I'm ready. But you know, he wasn't. You know, and yeah, because he.
And then it didn't matter anyway, because you and I had discussed it, and we put him on the bottom base in war, just because if you can't communicate with your clan, there has to be some sort of consequence. And
we were matched against a clan that had roster engineered, essentially.
Yeah, so I mean, they had Town Hall 5s at the bottom. I mean, it wasn't going to be a big deal, whatever. So we had him hit the bottom base, and I knew he didn't request war troops. All he wanted was a dragon and loons or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you non-max troops and just see what you do. And he went off and...
Did he hit? Yeah. Sorry, I thought you kicked him because you went in without his hero.
I was just going to say, I kicked him. I watched him do his attack. I watched him as he was attacking, and I waited for the CC truth to come out. I'm like, yeah, those aren't max. That's what I gave him, And then I looked, and I'm like, oh, he doesn't have his king either. So, yeah.
That's, yeah. I mean, why would... Okay, we understand that it's highly unlikely that he would have failed on the Town Hall 5. Well, stranger things have happened. In our war we just had there, it was like we had Town Hall 9s hitting Town Hall 7s from the other clan. But it's highly unlikely that he would have failed, but why would you want to risk it? Like, why wouldn't you want to maximize?
And I mean, it's not like he didn't know. We send out, the rules of play, because we want everybody to be on the same page. This is what we expect of everybody. So we send out our rules of play. It very specifically says, and I put it in there, always in bold capital letters. So always means just that. Always take max CC, and have your hero. So I mean,
and
can't even think. No.
We always say, if you don't need to use them, don't use them. It just means you can go use it in a raid,
And I mean, he's a new Town Hall 8 hitting a Town Hall 5, Town Hall 6, whatever the heck it was. But we know, I mean, I failed on an 11. You failed on a 12. Our 11 has failed on a Town Hall 10. Everybody failed to the Town Hall below them at some point. You just, you have those attacks where, everything just goes wrong, or, you have a brain fart and you don't get it. So, I mean, why take that chance?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I've kicked people for as little as not taking max troops in a war attack, because it's like, oh, they don't think they need it on this base, and then it's going to be, they're hitting their equal, but oh, they don't think they need it because they think they're, the bee's knees, like you said, and so then they don't take it in a, for an equal hit, and then they start, and
getting
it's
lazy.
Like, no, this is the rule that we have, and it needs to be followed.
Yeah, I mean, the rules are not there to be broken in our clan.
Yeah, not these.
So, and he, sometimes he goes a little bit tiring, wasn't he? So again, I'm not mourning that loss. But in terms of our war, how did we do, Jen?
Well, we were on, what were we on, 8 in a row? 7 in a row?
I can't remember.
We were on a few. And, we had a little, and we ended up losing a war by 0.2%. Not even a percent. Like 0.2.
Yeah, it always happens. We've talked about this before in the Warlog, that we never lose by more than 1%. It's even more rare to lose by stars. It's more common for us to lose on a draw than it is on stars. Put it that way. And it's always less than 1%. So yeah. But we kicked a lot of people that lower as well. So
yeah, we lost. What?
You were kicking people like they were. You were kicking people like we were having good people come in. Like they were just flooding it.
I try to be consistent. I try to be fair to everybody, and it's that consistency that is important, because if this were it's hard, because yes, we didn't have people coming in, but that shouldn't be the reason why I'm keeping somebody when they broke the rule.
No, I completely side with you and agree and understand, and completely that's what you should do. All I'm saying is, during that war, it was like it was raining boots, right? And it's just disappointing, because you and I had spent quite a lot of time trying to find somewhat sensible people to play the game. So and also, because we have clan games going on just now, we are not recruiting, because we're trying to temper the whole, I'm just trying to help out by taking a 35 and getting all the clan game rewards, when really I need that 35 to max out, and you just stole the cheapest challenge ever. Oh, goodness.
Yeah. But we did win our last war, and you ended up using the attack that we have been trying to kind of work out the kinks for the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. I would like to point out again to you that I managed to get more than 1% than on number one than he did on me, and it's just annoying, because I could have used that 1% last war.
Yeah, you used that percent last war.
I mean, we won by stars in this war, so I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we did win, and I used the sort of army combination that you'd suggested to me, and that we'd been practicing. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, of course. I've been excited.
So tell me why it excites you. No, actually, don't. Tell me what it is first, and then tell me why it excites you.
I've named it Queen-Charge Quadquake Drag.
Okay,
Queen-Charge Quadquake Drag.
Are you absolutely sure that it's not called something else, like drags?
No.
It's just drags.
Because you do the Queen Charge first, then you do the Quadquake, and then you do the drags. So in short, it's called QQQC Drags.
So I'm just gonna shorten it and just call it drags. It's a dragon army.
No, because it's QQQC Drags.
Okay, so give us the background. I think you have mentioned it before,
so
but
how this came about was, every so often we get these events that are on, use this many troops, use this many spells, and you gotta do like 15 attacks sometime with each of these things. So what I had done was I incorporated the drag, I incorporated the Quadquake, and I think there was one other thing. that came on after, but it was the drags and the quad quake at the start, and so I just thought, well, this was around the time that the lightning was starting as well, so it was just like, the queen charge was still strong, and I've always liked the queen charge, so it was like, okay, this quad quake, it opens up the entire base, and it keeps the entire base open, and my queen, and you and I kind of discussed about, well, wouldn't a jump be better, because, that's only 2 spell spaces instead of 4, but I remember telling you that, with the jump, it can disappear. The queen, even though the jump is there, she could just go the other way. With the jump, it only opens, 7 tiles worth, whereas the quad quake can open up a 9 block area. So I felt that, the quad quake just opened everything and kept it open, so the queen could just go, kind of had free range inside the base, and I found she wasn't getting stuck on walls. She was hitting...
Because there weren't any.
Well, exactly, because there weren't any, so there was nothing for her to get stuck on inside the base, so she was doing what she was supposed to be doing. And so, that's basically it. I just kind of started using everything and was getting consistent high 2 stars against Town Hall 13s. I remember posting replays for you against 12s. I was 3-starring. Granted, they didn't have CCs in the beginning, and that's why I wanted to try it out more, because I thought it was a very strong attack. Somewhat base dependent, but still it was strong in that, your queen, once she got in there, the value that she could get, it was, there wasn't much for the drags to clean up after that. So I mentioned it to you, and then you started tinkering with it. You've got kind of your own little army that you've added in there with some of the headhunters and whatnot, and between the two of us, we've been doing pretty well with it, I think.
Yeah, and I think you and I have tried to sort of, when we know that we've won a war or we're okay, we try to implement it in the war attack, just to get that practice of the pressure. And we've
not just pressure, but having CC troops come out at you as well.
Yeah, it's a war attack essentially. And it's not like you've fallen flat on your face or my face or my butt or whatever. But yeah, it's been surprisingly successful. And I think I mentioned it before that it's sort of helped me get more engaged with the game, just to have just something to practice and have that produce positive results. Because I'm not a pro player, right? And you always see, they're doing this, blah, 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 attack, right? And, I am fully aware that just because they're telling you, breaking it down, doesn't mean that I now know what to do for any base, right? The effort and time and dedication they have to have been refining that strategy is not instantly downloaded in my brain from watching them do it. So, I could try to do it, but it just, I would have to spend ages and have to have that sort of skill, first of all, to do that. And so they don't always work for me, and it's, it's a bit frustrating when you're trying to still work out those things. Whereas the army competition that you suggested, it produced good results quite quickly and consistently. And those are the two things that I think, first of all, you need. But those are the two things that are quite hard to get when you're trying out new strategies. You could get good results one time and you're like, yes, but then the next time it's like, oh my goodness, I just completely fell flat on my face. Whereas the dragons are quite consistent with you. There's that. And I think also, as a 10 or 13, you do see the pro players using drag bat and things like that. But again, with those kind of attacks, you totally have to be on the ball because your bats are doing essentially a lot of the work, right? And so you have to be on the ball with your freezies and whatnot. Whereas your kind of composition doesn't. It's more forgiving. I think you and I agreed it's more forgiving, but still is able to yield, more positive results. We're not 100% free starting all the time, but there's definitely a chance, right?
Right.
So, and that's particularly with Town Hall 13 bases, what with the upgrades to the cannons and all that. Air is in a good place now, with Town Hall 13s.
I mean, this last war, just as an example, you hit a max Town Hall 13, and I mean, 81% 2-star against the max Town Hall 13. Like, that's good.
Well, I was only going for 2 stars because I knew we had to win.
I mean, obviously, it would be nice for us to say, yeah, you can 3-star your equal anytime, anywhere. But I mean, we all know that the higher up in town halls you go, it's just more difficult because there's so much going on. There's,
Yeah, but when you and I were practicing it and just having fun with it and seeing how good it is, I was sharing replays of me 3-starring Town Hall 13s. I mean, obviously they're not like pro-built bases or anything, but they were like their defenses were maxed, so I still had to get through them. And I was, quite consistent with posting those replays for you to say, look, actually, there's something behind this, for me as a player, and that's exciting because you're getting a bit more engaged with the game because nobody wants to lose all the time, right? And when you're trying to hone a strategy, that's basically what it is. You have to get over the hurdle of knowing how your tricks work and putting the grind in. And this felt less grindy. But
it did, and I mean, for me, it still does. Like I like, okay, which day can I boost for 2 hours so I can try this attack again? Like, I'm still excited to use it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I've done all that I can do with it because I think because I haven't seen as much success with it in war because I think I've been hitting up with it more than hitting my equal. Mm-hmm. So that's I think why I'm still excited to be using it, especially like in multiplayer and whatever, because it's still.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said to you, there's definitely still some things to sort of tweak out. I think, I'm definitely having more success with it. Obviously, when there's multi-infernals, rather when there's single infernals, it's a lot difficult to 3-star.
And I mentioned too, kind of deciphering between a stone slammer and if you should be using a blimp as well.
Yeah.
So there's definitely, and I know for myself too, just kind of as the attack is progressing, and okay, this is where I wanted to go with my drags, but because the queen did this or whatever, I have to go down here now. So it's like, okay, quickly, is it going to be slammer? Is it going to be the blimp?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just. So I mean, it's still, and I mean, that's just kind of a trial and error. That's just hitting more in multiplayer, so you kind of, you know.
The grind, but less grindy.
Right, exactly. And I think that's why I'm still excited as well, because there is, those couple little things that still need to be worked out to get involved.
I think I also like it because, I'm Town Hall 13, right? And I was a Town Hall 7 a long time ago. A long, long time ago. And I do remember how much of a game changer as a Town Hall 7 was to my game when I had dragons. Suddenly you could, well, first of all, you can start, participating in wars properly. I remember enjoying using dragons and making sure you had the funnel properly and knowing there wasn't a sweeper back then, but knowing what sides to do and, you know, what shape the base had on the dragons and things like that. So I did enjoy using dragons at Title 7, but, you know, as the game progressed and I was going up the 10 halls, there wasn't really a viable dragon strategy after Town Hall 8. I think I actually missed the Town Hall 8 when it's all Dragloon. I'd already passed that point, so I haven't used dragons for a very long time. So again, it sort of, you know, it was a troop I enjoyed using. So having this new sort of technique to try out, sort of reinvigorated that for me. And
Go ahead.
I was just gonna also say, you know, when we were trying to test it out to see what works, and I was saying that I was showing you the replays and it was freestarting. I found that it's actually quite, while it is quite forgiving, it's also quite like it's not base dependent, like the design of the base. Other than the only thing that I would have trouble with is the infernals, not the fact that somebody's built a base this way versus somebody who's built a base this way. You know, I found that it worked equally well for all those kinds of bases, which helps because then you're like, okay, well then that's another equation that's taken out of your head to think, okay, can I actually hit this base? Whereas because we were testing it out, I was like, well, I'll just try it out, you know, and it would be quite successful.
I was going to say, you were experimenting with the Zap Lalo as well. What did you think about that?
Well, that was not as forgiving. But also because I've never been very good with Laloon in the first place, even before Zapquake. But it's okay. Well, I mean, it must be easier now if I'm not as terrible at it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm equating it to. I do not at all equate it to, oh, I'm actually getting better at it. I think it's just probably easier so that I am not failing as much as when it was before the update. Whereas that's what I think. I don't think. Well, I mean, I'd like to think I'm getting better at loon pathing, but let's just be honest. It's probably just easier because there's no, you know, you're 9 times out of 10 you're zapping the CC and the eagle, so those are key defenses coming out the way, you know, and that's probably why people are also saying why should you be able to zap the CC, because if people like me are finding that, you know, I might get the odd success one way or another, then that technique itself, that strategy, must be easier to learn for us lesser folk that are not pros. And it is fun, as in, because I'm obviously still trying to learn it and try and hone down the pathing and all that other stuff that Laloon people need to be good at. But I'm definitely not as successful with it as I am with this dragon thing. But I do think the reason also why I've been trying to do it as well is because I think it would then be kind of handy to have the dragon army, because I know that it's very effective against bases with multis. And then if I have the Zapquake with Laloon, then those ones will generally be good for single infernals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I'm kind of trying to practice both, so that, you know, come wartime when I have to hit, I have options and I'm not phased by the fact that, you know, infernals are one way than the other. Whereas sometimes with ground troops, you know, they're very, you know, I mean, I modify my ground troops to the base depending on whether they have multi or singles, but it's still you know, your ground troops still, the compositions are still sort of better one way or another, depending on what the infernal is set at. So that's why I've been trying to do both, so they can have.
Well, I mean, but face it. I mean, as long as there are only, 4 air defenses and 2 sweepers, that's 6 defenses hitting air troops. Whereas, there's...
And scatter shots. Don't forget scatter shots.
Well, those are just for air troops, though. So, I mean, 6 defenses that only hit air troops.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got, how many... There's, 7 cannons and 4 mortars or 5 mortars that can't hit the air troops. So, I mean, it just kind of makes sense. You should know some air attacks, because if there's a tough base where it's like, oh, I don't know if this ground army is going to work, you've got that air option, because, it's kind of negating.
But air attacks, particularly ones like, for example, Lava Loon, is significantly harder to learn.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's that sort of risk-reward kind of balance approach there, which, fair dues to Supercell for getting that sort of trade-off balance quite well done. But yeah, I think a lot of people who are very good air people that are ground attackers, appreciate that, they're good at air. Whereas I don't see that often in the other way around. Whereas if you're a really good air attacker, you're maybe not as a, oh, this person's really good at ground attacks, I wish I could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I do see a lot more people that are like, oh, I'm better at ground, but you're really good at air, and that's kind of cool. But yeah, so it's definitely something that, I mean, it's so good that I put it in my quick train army now.
Did you name it QQQC Drag?
No, I haven't named any of them. I don't have that. I don't. No.
I have all my quick trains named.
Do you?
Yes. What have I got? I've got Zap Drag, because I actually...
Do you even look at the name? I just look at the troops when I'm trying to find the 101.
When Zap Lalo was coming out, because I've always preferred dragons over Lava Loon myself as well, and it was always, one of the ones I never really learned, so I put Zap Drags in there. I've got my Queen Charge Hybrid, Queen Charge Zap Lalo. Well, I guess I got that in there. I've got Pekka Bobat, Pekka Smash, and Queen Charge Quad Quake Drag.
And again, I will ask, when you're looking for the army, do you look for the name or do you look for the actual pictures?
I look at the name sometimes.
Do you? You're weird.
Yep. Because a lot of my army, well, other than the hybrid, my armies are quite similar. They've all got, bits and pieces of each other in them. So.
I guess, but I know what I'm looking for, and it's easier to see pictures than it is to read words.
Well, I mean, I guess my hybrid is the longest one, so it would be easy to find that one. But, I look at pictures.
Yeah, so, yep, definitely still enjoying it. I think, yeah, I'm going to keep trying to sort of, how can I use that combination versus Infernals? I'm doing it gradually though, because I'm just trying to slowly introduce one single Infernal first, before I go all out with all singles. But yeah, so thank you for sharing it with me.
Well, I'm glad that you and I were kind of able to collaborate on the army, and now you've got, something that you're using that's working for you, and...
I like to, because I do understand that you're 12 and I'm a 13, so it might not necessarily... I think I have a little bit more give, so what else can I add to I'm hitting more defenses, I'm hitting scatter shots and things like that, so what is it that I need? So I guess that's why my army is different slightly from yours, but the core mechanics of it is the same.
Well, and I mean, we're just different attackers too.
Different people, yes. Yes. We're clearly different attackers when I'm trying to explain to you what I'm going to do for war and you just don't get it.
Well, I mean, in my defense, last war, I didn't even realize that you had level 9 wall breakers and I only have level 8 wall breakers, and you're talking about getting into this section where the multi-inferno is. I'm like, your wall break, you need to freeze that inferno. And you, with level 9 wall breakers, don't need to. Whereas me, with level 8 wall breakers, I would need to freeze that. So it's just different. The troop level definitely differ.
I mean, to be fair, to give you your due, I did not consider actually maybe I have to protect my wall breakers because you rightly pointed out it's a multi-inferno. And it just didn't quite, I mean, it's a late in the day, but I didn't quite click. Oh, actually, yeah, that means they're hitting my wall breakers. I don't know what was going on. So you did add value that way, just not how you meant it to be. And it worked out okay, and I used that attack. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, and when that base had single infernals, and I'm pretty sure if that sole single infernal that was still standing, I think if that was a multi, it would have been gone, and we might have restarted. If you looked at what was left.
Yeah, possibly. That single inferno kind of at the end there.
If you look at it and you saw how many dragons I had, before they were all zapped by the single inferno, the amount of dragons that I had would have gotten rid of the multi and then actually gone up to clear the rest of the base. Because there wasn't actually many defenses left.
That's something that I noticed too with the attack. It wasn't like I had, one dragon or 2 dragons left that were just, cleaning up the base. Like, I would have a lot of, 5, 6 dragons left. I mean, it only takes 7. So, I mean, but I still would have 5 dragons left at the end of my attack. So, I mean, it wasn't like it was just, barely squeaking by with the 3-star. It was strong, and I was crushing the bases because I had troops left.
Mm-hmm. You were, praying that this one drag had a sliver of health left.
Exactly. It was going through the base, and you could just see it. I mean, as you're, watching the rest of the base, it's like, oh my god, I still have all these dragons left. There's nothing left of the base. So, yeah.
Good.
Okay, so you wanted to ask me or tell me about...
Yeah, I wanted to get what your thoughts are on, because, sometimes I'll have a spare moment and I'll just look on the forums and whatnot, because I like to see what's happening sometimes. And there were 2 particular posts that was quite interesting. And I think it had, I don't know whether it was this update, but in that update, these posters were talking about things, and I was like, oh, I did not know that happened, right? So I was just wondering whether you thought it was a good change, and whether, it's the right thing to do, basically, what your thoughts are on it. So the first post, I guess, was that apparently, I think if you're in a clan that is not active or very active, there is no definition. I was reading posts and there was no consistent set of surroundings, but the original poster was saying that his clan is quite inactive because, they do a lot of the communication outside the clan and they just chill. They're not like, they play the game, but they're, a chill clan. But I think something appears in chat that says, this chat is quite, so they don't talk in the chat. So it says, something pops up in the chat. It says, this chat is quite, inactive. Have you ever thought about joining an active clan?
I did see that.
And I was like, oh, I mean, because we are not super active. Let's just say we're not on 24/7. but our clan must be active enough. So now we can say we're an active clan, woohoo! But, you know, we must be active enough that we're not triggering this threshold that other unique clans are. But I was like, I was wondering what your opinion of that was. I mean, is that I'm not for that, as in, because it feels a bit backhanded to sort of try and convince your members to go join a different clan in your clan, you know? So I wasn't, I mean, unless you're talking to like maybe the younger players that are like, oh yeah, you know, that's true, maybe I'll just go look for another clan. But as someone who helps manage a clan, I'm quite offended by that the game is trying to get rid of my players. So
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, if you're in an inactive clan, I mean, you should be able to tell yourself.
If that's what you're looking for.
Exactly. Like, I don't understand why there needs to be this notification that comes up and says that. It's just, I'm definitely with you on that. Like, you don't want.
Yeah.
Why Supercell telling people, you know, maybe go find an active clan?
Yeah, and
people should be able to figure that out for themselves.
I mean, the original poster was quite annoyed because, you know, they were quite happy with where they were, you know, because different clans work for different people, and their clan clearly worked for them, but yet here Supercell was telling them that maybe they should go to a different clan. So, and I don't think that that's ever been in any kind of notes that I've read for updates. I don't know when that happened. And you know, is that a consequence of the recruiting tool? You know, are they trying to widen the population of active players out there in the recruiting pot? Yeah, maybe. So that was just something I wanted to sort of get your opinion on, and whether you thought that was a good idea from Supercell, whether it's.
No, I don't like that idea. I don't like when they put things in the game like that and don't say something.
I mean, there's probably things and all sorts of things that we're not aware of, though.
Because then that just brings me back to the whole clan game thing, and while these people didn't know, it's just like, well. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, clan games is better now. I like the fact that I can trash every 10 minutes and have it only be 10 minutes.
I still believe that had people not kicked up a fuss, or, you know, people hadn't noticed, they would never have implemented something like that. You know, a part of me still believes that they were like, nobody will notice. And then, you know, we'll have this on backup, and if people do notice, we'll have it ready. But, you know, let's not if nobody notices. Otherwise, why wouldn't you have put it in the game at the same time?
I don't know why they would think that nobody would notice.
Well, I don't know why they were so surprised, because people were posting about it every clan games, you know, pretty much from the very beginning. So I don't know why they're surprised. So yeah, so the other one that I wanted to sort of get your opinion on was another post that I saw, and again, these are just posts, so I don't know whether these are verified as actually happening, but they seemed legit to me. Okay. So as part of this whole, you know, trying to make easier the grind, or, you know, coming back to the game and whatnot, you know, now even when you do your town hall, you get the boosts and things like that, or when you go, your loot cart is getting much more loot now if you've been away, and so there's all these things to sort of help people that are coming back get back into the game and, you know, not struggle as much. But I think they also added this whereby if you have a base, let's say you've got a Town Hall 8 base, and you have defences that are not maxed, I think if you leave that game for a significant amount of time because you've decided not to play before for a while, right? But then you come back like, I don't know, 2 years later or something, or a year later, right? The base progresses without you. So, the reason why the person was posting was he was clearly engineering, right? So he had the one cannon that was like the baby cannon. And when he decided just one day to log back in, he noticed he had a fully maxed cannon for like a Town Hall 8 or something like that. And he was like, I didn't upgrade that. So apparently, I think it's, what was it that Dan said? It was like, it's a once a year trigger whereby, apparently, if you've got the loot and the build is free, then it gets spent and the builder will be at work. The builder will be put to work on the defences that you have put down. And so it won't build any new defences, but it'll work on the defences that you have, providing you've got the loot for it. Should you ever come back to the game 2-3 years later? So, and I thought that's quite, I did not even think that was a thing that they had done, and it takes, obviously all the engineered people are like, this is not right, you're getting rid of engineers and blah, 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 right? Because, obviously people like trophy bases and they're like, oh, look at my base, it only has the baby cannon, and look at my walls, okay, I have no walls, but, and then they come back and their base has changed and they've got a max cannon for whatever level they have. And you're like, this is so. There was all this kind of. I mean, it wasn't an uproar, let's just say. But because people were probably a little bit surprised and a little bit chuckling to themselves. But yeah, no, there was no mention of that, I don't think, in any notes either.
Because I would have been like, aha, all your engineers.
But to be fair, I think Diane said it is like a once a year triggered event, and you'd have to be gone from the game for a very significant amount of time, and it will always be quicker or better to upgrade by playing the game than it is to not play the game. So you couldn't just like rush to Town Hall 13, put all the defences down, and then come back in a year with a max 13. That wouldn't be how it would work, It would probably take, I don't know, 10 years before you had a max 13 if you never logged in again, But by that time, there'll be like Town Hall 50 or something. So it's not like a big, massive, drastic change, but it is still a difference to the people that play the game that way. So what do you think?
Well, I wish they would have done something like that sooner. I mean, because you know how I feel about engineers. I don't like them. So any way to get them to not be that, or to,
I don't think they, and again, this is, I think, what Diane said. They're not out to get rid of engineers, because, or this certain playstyle, or whatever, the diplomatic way of saying it. What they're trying to do is lessen the grind for a person coming back to the game that might have been playing it as how it's supposed to play it, let's say, a maxer. So it's not as grindy for them when they come back to the game.
No, that makes sense.
So, yeah, those were just the things I wanted to sort of get your opinion on, and whether you knew that those things were happening.
No, I think the clan chat thing, I think, yes, because I think that I had that pop up for me.
No.
But other than,
okay,
like the other, no.
Yeah, because and those changes don't affect our clan, so we'd never have known. Okay.
Yeah.
Were we gonna talk about anything else? We're coming up to an hour now.
No, I I think just your cat fixed stupid, and then we're coming up on an hour, so we'll talk about it next one. But I have something for next time. So your cat fixed stupid, and then we'll wrap it up.
Oh, really? What do you have? I'm intrigued now.
Nothing. It's just something that I wanted to discuss with you.
Okay. So my cat fixed stupid was I had to take a screenshot because I was in disbelief. So we have people that flake out that we recruit, and they flake out in all manners of ways. You know, they cuss us out, they just leave with no warning, you know, we get the whole, you know, variety, the whole range. But this person flaked out for a reason that I wasn't expecting. And I was just so like, what? So I screenshotted it, so I'll just read it out verbatim. There is no explicit words in this one, so I did not get cussed out. But this is what the person said. So it was, yes, but I never stay in a clan when a leader like you invites me but won't friend me. If you don't want to be friends, then why am I here? And I was like, what? You know, your sole reason for leaving is because I'm not friends with you. I mean, never mind the fact that I didn't actually notice I had a friend request, or the fact that he was probably annoyed that he couldn't friend me because my friend list was full at that time. Right? So he's probably annoyed that I can't friend you, so I know exactly when you're online, so I can request the troops I want, you know. But I was like, what kind of reason is that? I don't know you, and you've just come in the clan for less than 3 minutes, and you have assumed that any request has been denied. It's not like I rejected the friend request. I didn't even know there was one. You know? So I was just like, why is that a reason? Why? What does that mean? You know, like, oh, a leader like you. And I'm like, well, a person that, you know, stranger danger? You know, so that I was not expecting that kind of flick out. That's a new flick out for me, and then that got me to be thinking about you, because it's you. I'm blaming him on you. because you know how we differ in our recruiting methods, whereas I'm playing the odds whereby, you know, there's diamonds in the rough, so I go by volume. You know, and like one out of maybe like 100 will be good. Whereas you go about it a different way, where you like to friend them first before you invite them. So he's you. He's the guy that you should have invited, not me. Because then he'd be so happy that you friended them first.
Yeah.
So that is definitely your fault.
Yeah. I remember you telling me about that one. That one was good.
I mean, I don't know, but yeah. Okay, just after an hour now. So do you want to wrap up?
Yeah. So next time we probably won't need to touch on clan games because we know we've already maxed them. We'll see how our wars have gone for the next week, leading up to Clan War League, which will be starting next in 7 days, so a week from now, probably when we do another episode. And I wanted to talk to you, because you and we report some players and whatnot, just because they come into the clan and they, you know, spew off whatever and cuss us out, and then
cry because we're not friends with them.
There have been people that have put stuff in requests, trying to get back into the clan. Just kind of wanted to talk about support and just some of the responses that I've gotten, maybe that you've gotten, just in terms of how they want us reporting stuff and
yeah,
how we can that.
Yeah, no, we can talk about that. I don't think we've covered that before. You know, generally, Is it not that we're not allowed to talk about it or something? I don't think we're not allowed to talk about it on the forum. We're not allowed to discuss individual actions. I think that's falls under that's some of the rules. But I mean, we can just discuss generally how effective we feel it is. We're allowed to have an opinion. But yeah, no, I mean, spoiler alert, I don't think that they're consistent. That would be my opinion.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that, and then what else? There might be an event between Clan Games and Clan Worlding, so maybe we'll have something to recap there. Other than that, that's about it. So we will see you all then.
Hi.